Are you here to improve your investment strategies? Are you looking for that one article that could help you finalize that decision you were holding off? Well then, get ready to learn more and gain just that subtle extra knowledge to get an edge in the investment business. Because if you're new here, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to The Daily Fortune, a channel where we talk about all the latest news, updates, guides, and strategies related to investment. Of course, with that said, we're going to be discussing a lot about the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, The Big Short, Michael Burry, the money tree Cathie Woods, Tesla's very own CEO and eccentric billionaire Elon Musk, along with the rest of the big leagues to learn just a bit more from the professionals. And don't worry, of course we talk about crypto, and we also talk about the best stocks to invest in, along with many tips and tricks on how to handle your finances so you never lose. So before we talk about making money, remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as well to make sure you won't miss a single video. Now let's get started. Most of the millennials are more likely to water houseplants than think about their finances, according to a recent survey. It's not getting any better either, with almost half of the millennials worrying about debt, preventing many of them from purchasing a home. 61% of renters are unable to purchase a home in their city, but this may soon change, hopefully. The housing market appears unstoppable, having increased by another 17% in the last year. According to HousingWire, the real estate market has become ruthlessly unhealthy. Zillow predicts that the wildest home prices swings are yet ahead. Furthermore, given that the Federal Reserve has committed to raising interest rates quickly, one analyst warns that the housing market is in its early stages of a severe downturn, as more investors dump stocks for cash, possibly anticipating a recession. I'm going to be discussing the 5 most recent real estate predictions from analysts and experts to answer why home sales are anticipated to plummet by 25%, and finally why millennials are so terrible at handling money. So let's get started. Here's a quick overview of what's going on in the housing market that you need to know. The first one is that the interest rate drop in March 2020 allowed homeowners to lower their monthly payments while also increasing their purchasing power, causing prices to rise. Secondly, the shutdown resulted in a new low number of properties on the market, and with such a limited supply, the remaining inventory was bid to higher prices. Third, supply chain delays caused housing supplies to take longer to arrive, costing more money, which was then passed on to the consumer. Fourth, a labor shortage affects the overall cost of housing. With fewer people able to work, it's either they raise prices or build fewer homes. These are all occurring at the same time, and it's resulted in one of the top trending housing markets in history, with the highest price increases on record for both purchases and rentals. However, that could be an occurrence of the past now, as the Federal Reserve has begun raising interest rates for the first time since 2018. If you're wondering what happened at the time, the housing market crashed. After the great financial crisis of 2008, the Federal Reserve did something that's quite similar to what we're experiencing now. To promote lending and get the housing market back, they cut interest rates and bought mortgage-backed securities. But that couldn't go on forever. The Federal Reserve began increasing interest rates for the first time in 7 years back in 2015, and they reached their highest level by 2018. However, when they hinted at more rate hikes in 2019, the market fell into a panic. The Federal Reserve was reported to have damaged the stock market rise by May of 2019, with the S&P 500 dropping 20% from September to December of 2018, although the effects of the real estate market were one of the less discussed components. Within 6 months of the stock market's drop, home sales also dropped significantly. Prices began to fall, and growth nearly froze as the federal funds rate approached 2%. However, the Federal Reserve decided to decrease interest rates again in mid-2019, claiming that there is no reason why the expansion can't continue. If you look at the US economy right now, there isn't a single industry that's booming and thus likely to collapse. Or to put it another way, they cut interest rates to boost and preserve growth that they weren't seeing in a rising interest rate environment, which didn't work out as expected, not even 6 months later. Housing inventory is at an all-time low, while median home prices are at an all-time high. With the Federal Reserve increasing interest rates back to where they were in 2018, we're seeing something similar. Could this result in another housing market collapse with prices falling? Well, according to the chief economist and founder of Pantheon Macroeconomics, existing home sales would decrease nearly 25% from the yearly rate of 6 million in February to 4.5 million by the end of the summer. Furthermore, he claims that the housing market is in the early stages of a significant downshift, which will result in a sharp decrease in the rate of increase in home prices, beginning as early as spring. Part of this is supported by the recent decrease in mortgage demand, which has slowed to its lowest level since 2019, with the refinancing demand down about 50% from a year ago, indicating that rising interest rates are putting more pressure on buyers, and so they become less interested in buying. Rising interest rates are also linked to housing affordability, with the median cost of monthly mortgage payments increased by more than 400 or 27% in the last 7 months. In terms of what experts expect for the coming year, here are the 5 predictions. First on the list is that rates on first mortgages will rise. Mortgage rates have risen from 3.2% to 4.4% as of today, which is the same amount as in 2019. It's not surprising anymore that rates will likely climb significantly in the near future as the Federal Reserve continues to increase rates. Either demand will start to decline, or buyers will be rushing to lock in a low rate while they can. Second, the National Association of Realtors predict reduced competition. According to them, the combination of rising interest rates and rising property prices might drive homebuyers out of the market, resulting in less competition when the summer buying season ends. The third one is housing price increases will be slower. The predictions for the housing market in 2020 are best guesses. For example, CoreLogic predicts a 6% increase in housing prices over the next year, while the Realtor.com predicts a 2.9% increase, and Zillow says supply chain slowdowns and years of underbuilding will keep inventory relatively low for the near future, with prices peaking at 21% in May before slowing down. Moving on to the fourth one, higher priced homes will become more affordable, while lower priced properties will become more competitive, according to MarketWatch. There are more listings at the upper end, homes priced above $50,000, compared to a year ago, which could lead to less hurried decisions by some buyers. It's also expected that when mortgage rates go up, some buyers may be compelled to buy in a lower price range, increasing the level of competition. Lastly, the fifth one, they predict that foreclosures will increase. With the end of mortgage forbearance, it was believed that homeowners who couldn't make their payments would default and the property would be returned to the bank. Despite the fact that foreclosure rates have been rising, Realty Track data shows the majority of activity is focused on vacant and abandoned properties, as well as loans that were in foreclosure before the pandemic. Only 1 in every 6,675 households in the United States fits into this category, and data shows that we're still significantly below the average. Thus, fewer individuals are behind on their mortgages, fewer people are facing foreclosure, and more people than ever have equity from which they could cash in on. However, even with all that, why does Zillow predict that the biggest home price swing is still ahead of us? And what caused me to buy a fresh new insurance policies on every single property I own? Well, Zillow released their updated market estimates a few days ago, and given the present conditions, even with the Federal Reserve raising rates, they believe housing prices will rise 17.8% through February 2023. But for these predictions are merely just predictions. For example, back in May of 2020, CoreLogic, one of the largest data analytics companies, found that although prices had risen 4.5%, we would only see a 0.5% increase in 2021, while Zillow predicted that real estate values would drop 2.7% by October of 2021. Basically, we can see how wrong that was. Although rising interest rates do affect house affordability, other factors such as local market conditions, new construction inflation, unemployment, and the overall health of the economy play an important role. Today's problem isn't so much about speculations or predictions with no money down and free loans to anyone who wants one, but the main issue here is one of inventory shortage mixed with great demand, which is driving prices even higher. Speaking of property prices, it is for this reason that I purchased some fairly hefty insurance policies for my residences. I think the majority of people are unaware that they should be concerned about the insurance. If you have a mortgage on a home, you must have insurance in case of fire, flood, or any damages and so on. Under some circumstances, the insurance company sets a repair limit based on how much you can spend and how much they value the property. However, such insurance estimates are frequently based on prices from years ago rather than what they'll cost just now. As a result, many homeowners are substantially underinsured and would be completely destroyed if something went wrong. Consider the fact that property values have doubled since the Great Recession. Construction costs have risen by 23% since 2020, reaching a 50-year high. And it's possible that you're going to be in big trouble if you want to fix your property based on an insurance estimate from more than a year ago. Experts are already advising homeowners to review their insurance coverage, noting that 2/3 of homes in the United States are now underinsured in an event of a disaster, with an average underinsurance of 22%. That simply means that instead of earning $300,000 to fix your house, you'll only get $234,000 instead. The rest is up to you. It's your choice. You may even go one step further and purchase extended dwelling coverage to ensure that you're covered in the event of an overage. However, in terms of the stock market's near-term outlook, investors appear to be more anxious about global growth than they have been since the great financial crisis of 2008, and have increased their cash holdings to a 2-year high. This correlates with concerns over an inverted yield curve, with one analyst speculating that the market perhaps is assuming they can't thread that needle. It's going to be tough not to drive us into recession. On the other hand, Jerome Powell stated that they are closely monitoring the first 18 months of Treasury rates for signs of a recession, which they don't believe is approaching. Even if we did witness an inverted yield curve, Bank of America says it's no longer a reliable predictor of recessions because the market has continued to rise in the long run. So the best thing you can do about all of this is to avoid being a millennial. According to a new survey, managing money is dead last on a millennial's priority list of activities, which also includes taking care of the houseplants, surfing the internet, playing online games, and other activities. In fact, 45% of millennials say they have no idea how much money they have in their accounts, and 4 out of 5 say they're more inclined to make impulsive purchases since they rely on autopay to keep track of their payments. That's why it's really important to have a budget. Check your expenses, cut back as needed, try to invest regardless of the outcome, and basically do the complete reverse of what many people are doing. And there you have it. Thank you for watching. So that's it for today. I hope you learned something from today's video, and to get updated with the next videos, don't forget to hit the notification bell. See you next time.